Virginia is #1 in the country for business, but almost last when it comes to kids aging out of foster care. It's a statistic many are concerned about. We're working for you to find out what could be done differently to help children all over the Commonwealth.
My childhood was pretty traumatic, I would say. I was raised in a family where my mom was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and so was my dad.
Tori Mabry's mom eventually went to prison. At 9 years old, she moved in with her 21-year-old sister in the Richmond area.
It was challenging. We lived in a trailer park for a majority of our time there, and she struggled financially. I knew that she was doing the best that she could at the time with what she had, and if it not had been for her, I'm not really sure where I would be.
For almost a decade, until she turned 18 and moved out, it was hard. Holes in the floor, bugs, and a lack of food.
As a young kid, you always question, is this how normal life is?
It can be a little bit frustrating as a child advocate when we look at where our resources are funneled in the state, and we know that while yes, it's important to have a healthy and thriving economy, it doesn't matter if our children are able to thrive.
Allison Gilbreth raises awareness about what's happening in the foster care system as the Voices for Virginia's Children Policy and Programs Director. For a decade, Virginia's remained one of the 3 worst states for kids aging out of foster care without a permanent connection. Data shows they're more likely to not go to college, have poor workforce outcomes, and higher rates of incarceration.
We have poor resources to fund our foster care system. And one of the big issues, too, is we lack in kinship care. And kinship care simply means placement for a relative. And in Virginia, we've done a really poor job of paying kinship caregivers equitably, the same way that we pay foster parents. And we make it a bit more difficult to become a kinship foster parent because we have this statute that's called barrier crimes. For example, if you had a marijuana charge 10 years ago, you still couldn't be a foster parent.
West Virginia is one of many states prioritizing kinship care, consistently in the top 3, leading the way for kids being adopted before aging out. We reached out to find out how they're doing it. They told us the emphasis for finding relative and fictive kin caregivers, like a teacher or church member, begins immediately upon the child being removed. More than 50% of West Virginia children in foster care are placed with those groups.
There's an opportunity cost. Legislators have to make a choice. Either they spend on the front end or they will absolutely spend on the back end.
Tori's now an advocate, speaking to Virginia lawmakers as someone who lived the struggle and now sees it daily as a social worker.
They've improved since I was with my sister almost a decade ago, but I think we have still a long ways to go. I think Virginia needs to make...
Now, kinship care only works if someone is found that's willing to take in the children who can meet all the requirements. There are many more things Gilbreth and her team are pushing for that they say will improve foster care. You can read more